So this is the team, and let's talk about the team first. As you can see here, it's a pretty interesting one. We've got Raijin, and he's a monk. He can deal earth damage, but as I kind of went over during my Sub30 clear, the first one, the 6-star monk ability isn't going to do any damage against this boss, so and it generates, let's see, 180 soul break points because he has a striker on. Where Life Siphon generates 225. So that's just, you're essentially contributing nothing damage-wise with Raijin. So why not generate more soul break points? And it's absolutely necessary. You'll see by the 30-second mark, every single soul break point, well, maybe not every, you might have 25 over, but almost every soul break point that Raijin has is useful in some way. So the life siphons are absolutely necessary. I use Raijin's Super Soul Break, and that's it. It is one of 2 Super Soul Breaks that I used to great effect during this fight. Next up is Aphmau. I chose Aphmau because, well, honestly, the reason why this team came to be is because I used to run Eiko on this team. And it was Eiko and an Entruster. And that really didn't, well, it didn't work. That's what got me to here. So I decided to split up Eiko and what she does into 2 characters, Raijin and Aphmau. And in the process, give myself 2 instant casts. Having the capability to instant cast with 2 different people on the team is, it's like it's crossed some threshold where eventually, once you get going, the run basically becomes instant casting every single turn, because one instant cast feeds the other instant cast, which feeds the other instant cast, because you have one person with an entrust here, and they're moving so quickly that they're able to keep the fire going. And you'll see that in the fight, and that's kind of the point of this entire team. Is my only strong Earth character is Maria, and she's got 18 ability uses to use. And yes, she does have an ability double USB, but still, within 30 seconds, it's not enough to use all of this stuff without some cast speed enhancement. And since she just barely hits cap with a 30% damage RM, she loses a lot of damage if I put Thunder God mode on her. And because I have to bring Onion Knight, because I truly am running out of mages at this point that can contribute anything in this fight, Onion Knight has to come, which means he's giving 3 charges of quick cast to the team. And one of my old teams was Onion Knight over the course of the fight uses his USB twice. That's 6 turns where Maria is quick casting, really reducing the effect of Thunder God mode. So I tried all of these different ways to make Maria, who's the only one that really deals ability-based damage here, faster. And this is the fastest team that I could possibly make. By the end of the run, I have used all of my Chainstone Gas, and I believe I have 3 charges of all Chainstone Ja, and 3 charges left of Chainstone Ga. And that was as fast as I could make it. Maria puts out a pretty crazy amount of damage within this 30 seconds. thanks to Raijin and Aphmau just making everything instantaneous. And that is the point of this entire team, is to make Maria quick. That's these 4 characters: Raijin, Aphmau, Onion Knight, Maria. Alphino's kind of a lone wolf, and it's great. It's great that the Magicite mechanics is the boss starts taking 25% extra damage at some point by all sources, even Radiant Shield. So that's where Alphino's Super Soul Break comes in, and this is Alphino's gold. And what makes him such a powerful character is that this is beneficial to every team that he can contribute on. And since he's just a pure summoner, all the damage and his dives and stuff is all just plus summoning damage. It's not plus wind. Most people see him as a wind summoner, and he eventually gets the wind chain, so I guess he's a wind summoner. But he, because of the Super Soul Break, is really potent at just contributing to every single element team. And I haven't tallied up the damage. I'm going to tally up the damage now that I have a video. I made it last night, and we're going to show it for the commentary. I'm fairly certain that the deployment tactics over the course of the fight does over 300,000 damage. So this is, quote, a Super Soul Break, but it's actually an arcane Soul Break that also gives a 30% attack and magic buff to your team, which is kind of crazy. And we do have Alphino's USB. I do use it, and it is vital to this run. I'm not going to pretend that this is a poverty run or whatever they call it. You need some very specific things to make this run work, and unfortunately, Alphino's USB is one of them. You might be able to get the same amount of damage from Alphino from somebody else, because really Alphino is pretty much on his own. Deployment tactics helps. It's a 30% magic buff for these two, but Maria still does a pretty fair amount of damage. So if you could replace him with Renoa, for instance, if you have her as a strong Earth Mage, you could probably pull it off. I'm almost certain you could pull it off. But yeah, I'm gonna go into why his USB does stuff. It's kind of complicated, and it's something that I've actually never run into before. So I'll get to that point of the fight. Get ready for me to pause for long periods during this fight just to explain everything that's going on every turn. Let's see, what else do I have to go over here? Magicite? Or, no, Onion Knight. Good thing I picked up the extra Perseus bow for him, because he does throw off a lot of meltdowns over the course of the fight. So the extra earth damage is nice. Other than that, I mean, we've been looking at this version of Onion Knight for a while. We know exactly what he does. He uses his USB. He fires off meltdowns, and he entrusts over the soul break points to somebody else. There's no reason to recast his USB in this fight, because that's 500 soul break points that you could put on Aphmau instead. And that's the only person we entrust to over the course of the entire fight is Aphmau. Because Raijin, while nice for him to have soul break points, isn't as good as Aphmau because her USB is instantaneous by itself. So the combo that we're going to be running here is Raijin never casts a full cast time Super Soul Break. It's always Aphmau fueling Raijin, so we can avoid that 2.5 second cast time. Actually, I've gone over the fight. I do not cast any Soul Break in the entire fight, other than Onion Knight's opening USB at full cast time. Everything else in the entire fight is instant cast. What else? What else? What else? Yeah, okay, Magicite. I use the exact team that I recommend on my website, which is 2 Midgard Zormers, 2 Evrays, and an Earth Guardian. And it's all necessary. This Midgard Zormer is the stacked one with double Empower Earth 15. The next one is Empower Earth 15, and I could have put a higher one here, but the difference between, because this is the 4th instance of Empower Earth, the difference between a level 8 Empower Earth and a level 15 Empower Earth is 1% damage. It just was not worth leveling up another level 99 Magicite. Because I have 2 Midgard Zormers, all I need to get my 3rd magic boon, is that's what I think works really well on mage teams, is 1 Evray with an inherited magic boon, so I got 3 of those. 2 health boons. Mage parties in particular benefit very much from health boon, because they have a low amount of health to begin with. And this fight relies on taking damage from the boss to fuel the Radiant Shield damage, so the more health boon the better. I don't think there's probably not much use in using a 3rd health boon, but 2 is good, especially on a mage team, even when you're not using Radiant Shield. An Earth Guardian is a typical dampened Magicite with the base 10 and an inherited 7. You can inherit another 10, but again, it's the same situation with the Midgard Zormer. The difference between a 7 in the 2nd position and a 10 is 1% dampen. That's it. Because you start out with a 10 and it stays as a 10. The second time, it's a 50% effectiveness. So it would get halved to 3.5, and you round up to 4. So 4% effectiveness, where if this was a level 10, then it would be 50% to 5% effectiveness. So only a 1% difference, not that big of a deal. This costs a level 65 Magicite to make, where a level 10 dampen costs a level 99 Magicite to make. And with how hard it is to level these sons of bitches, I suggest just sticking with the 7s. But we don't have to worry about this. But that's not completely true. We do have to worry about this in 5-star as well, because dampen and empower levels don't fluctuate. They don't change. Level 5 or 5-star Magicites empowers are level 15, and 5-star Magicite dampens are level 10. Anything else? Any other questions about the Magicite? Because I know this is a pretty hot topic, and I'm actually having a stream tomorrow going into Magicite inheritance and passives and stuff like that. 4 sources. She has an LMR as well. Standard Evray? Well, yeah. I'm an Evray lover. I have 4 of them. I'm actually thinking about making a 5th. Because all of my Magicite teams are kind of run the same pattern with 2 Elemental. Or basically 3 Elemental Magicite and then 2 Evray. And I plug in the 2 Evray that, you know, make up for what the 3 Elemental Magicite are missing. And on this team, it's all mage teams get a magic boon. And health boon works really well, also on a mage team. Yeah, I don't want to use Spell Ward or Blade Ward here, because that makes me take less damage, and I don't want to take less damage. I want to have more health to deal more damage. Fast Act, Magic Boon, Health Boon, crit damage. Oh god, I think I'm gonna need to make more of Rays. Yeah, it's the wards. The wards. I'll go over that more tomorrow. How to build Evrays. Because it's going to be an important part of tomorrow. 5-star Magicite introduces Medine, which is basically Evray, but all of Evray's flaws, except for the Empower Holy, are gone. It gets rid of the attack boon and gives you 2 inherit slots instead. Ah, the possibilities. They're glorious. Okay, so that's the team comp. Thanks a lot, Booker. Nothing else to talk about here, I don't think. Maybe RMs. RMs are always difficult. I'm not one that runs Ace Striker and Battleforge very often. I don't typically like them, but they're useful here because both of the people that they're on are not real damage dealers. And the damage dealer that has one on, Alphino, is a summoner who only gets 3 hits on his Titan. So his upper limit on his damage potential is actually kind of low. So he can benefit in other ways with his RM. If I put a damage RM on Alphino, it's not like he actually does that much more damage. Because even Chainless, with his USB active, he gets a rank boost. Actually, I'll point that out. I honed my Titan to R5 to do this. He gets a rank boost of 30% increased summon damage on his USB. So, I use Ace Striker because it allows me to do something very specific in the fight. You're going to see exactly how tight this fight is, because this is the perfect video to show it. I use Meltdown on Onion Knight instead of Maria, even though Maria's the mage, the true Earth Mage, because Maria needs... Maria caps with Chainstonega, and it's 4 hits. And Maria is actually the one person in this fight who does not care about soul break points, except for one little blip in the beginning, you'll see. But she caps with Chainstonega, so why not give Meltdown the extra soul break generation to the person that can really use it because he wants to entrust it over to Aphmau. So Maria gets the dumpy ability and, of course, the awesome Chainstonega. So I use every single magical Earth ability available to me. Unless there's any others that I'm forgetting. But Titan, Meltdown, Chainstonega, and Chainstonega. Alright, I think we can boot up the fight now. Okay, first of all, party order is extremely important in this fight. Extremely important because the order in which people use their abilities matters because of... I need to expend all instant cast charges that I can possibly expend before granting more instant cast. Because instant cast 1 is not a timed ability. Instant cast 1 lasts for a turn. So if you have Instant Cast 1 active on you, and you get granted it again by, say, I use Aphmau's USB, grants Instant Cast 1 to everybody in the party. And then before that person takes another action, Raijin uses his Super Soul Break and gives everyone Instant Cast again. It overwrites it. So you still only get 1. So everyone wants to use every single Instant Cast charge I can provide to them. So what's going to happen here is Onion Knight's the fastest on the team. He's going to go first. And he will use his USB, the only full cast time soul break in the entire fight. And then I have it lined up really well that I can just spam click on the first ability slot. for all 4 characters. And that will start a chain reaction for their cast times and their ATB for the next turn. And that will be very important. I'll talk about that when we get there. So all left. Chain Stonga for points, even though it doesn't do any damage. Life Siphon for points. And now what you're going to see on the next turn is Alphino's going to go first. And he's going to Titan. Because he has a charge of Quick Cast for magic. I'll talk about Alphino in the turn after that. And then Onion Knight, because he's so quick, even though he didn't go after Alphino, Onion Knight is going to outturn the other 3. And I need to skip his turn. Because Onion Knight needs to cast Wall. And what I'm going to do is skip Onion Knight's turn, and then I'm going to take everyone else's turn. And that'll be Maria. She's going to Chain Stonja. It breaks my heart having to use Chain Stonja outside of Maria's USB status, which ability doubles. And just does 100,000 damage a turn. Pretty much guaranteed with her. It breaks my heart having to do that, but she must. She must use her Soul Break on the fourth turn in this comp. And in order to do that, she cannot use three Chain Stongas. She must use 2 Chain Stongas and 1 Chain Stonja. And if I'm going to use 1 charge of Chain Stonja, I might as well use 2, because she's an ability doubler, and having 7 charges of it is not useful. So I go Chain Stonga, then 2 Chain Stonjas. And then after she does that, I'll Life Siphon with Raijin, and that's the important part of this turn order, is that Raijin needs to use Life Siphon. Because what I'm going to do on second turn with Aphmau is use her USB. And she has Mako Might. And she will use her USB, which will allow me to instantly cast Wall. It's nice to know that first attack that King Behemoth does pierces buffs. So having Wall active doesn't do anything to it. So I don't actually have to have Wall active at the moment. And that's why I wait till second turn. I wait till I can instant cast it. Because the RW Wall that they give us is a 3.0 second cast time. It takes even longer to cast than most Soul Breaks. So instant casting that out is really important to save time. So Titan, skip, Chain Stonja, Life Siphon, then USB for Aphmau. Why this is important is because I do not want to give Aphmau's instant cast charge to Raijin before he uses Life Siphon, because I want him to have an instant cast charge ready for him to Super Soul Break next turn. So that's the mayhem has already started. Aphmau instant casts everybody this turn. Everybody uses their instant cast charge. Then Raijin instant cast the party the turn after, and then everyone uses their instant cast charge, and that starts the chain reaction. But we do have a slight lull after these 2 instant casts before this is probably the most important area of a Magicite run is the 10-second mark, because your Magicite is so important, and that's the best time to have stuff available and ready to go at full strength. So that's really what I'm aiming for here, is to have a low damage curve in the beginning and then ramp it up immediately once the 10-second mark hits, and then keep it going for the rest of the fight. And you'll see that not just this turn was dependent on their cast times and stuff, but 2 turns from now as well, when everyone uses their Soul Breaks instantly. So, Aphmau USBs. Now I'm spam clicking on that wall. Onion Knight walls instantly. And now, it was important for Alphino to use Titan this turn, because he has still has charges from Onion Knight's magical quick cast. And what I'm going to do with him next turn is... It's hard, it breaks my heart, but I have to do it. So, yeah, Aphmau just uses an instant Curata. It doesn't really matter who it goes towards, so I just click it just to generate soul break points. I'm going to recast Protectka with Alphino because he doesn't have enough homes. Titan at rank 5 can only be used 6 times. I do not have enough hones to last the entire fight, so I cannot cast Titan right now. I need to cast Protectka to generate soul break points. I do that now instead of later because later on, Midgard Zormer, the Magicite, will be active. Alphino's Super Soul Break will be active for a magic buff. So it makes sense to divert the strength in my abilities to the point where the party is the most powerful. The 10-second mark. She uses her second Chain Stonja, so now she has a clean 6. Lovely even numbers. And now we instantly, now that everyone used their instant casts, we Super Soul Break with Raijin. Everyone goes instantly again. Aphmau waits for the Sunder. See, I didn't click it immediately because I want to make sure that it's actually just vital that you get off all the healing that you possibly can in this fight, because it matters when Radiant Shield is active, because Radiant Shield can only do as much damage that was actually done, not the numbers that show up, but the damage that was inflicted on the character. So only as much health as they have left. So Aphmau got crit. On a normal run where I don't get RNG on the boss, no one loses their last stand there, but that's okay. That's fine because we get last stand active again before the boss uses an attack that's actually threatening. And if you look at the timer, 9.94 seconds. You know what this means? It's go time. And you'll see a very this is the turn that I was talking about, that the ATB really mattered, is because we want to use both of our long cast times on Alphino and Onion Knight before Maria, because those two have nothing to do with each other, but both of them improve Maria's damage. Alphino is going to use a Super Soul Break to give a party buff as well as Radiant Shield. Onion Knight is going to Midgard Zormer to increase earth damage. And then Maria is going to USB. Remember, the only reason she can USB is because I used at least one Chain Stonja in the first 3 turns. And because of the way they're ordered, Maria goes last, which is perfect. No skipping. Skipping is bad because input delay is the killer, is the mind killer. If Raijin can't super, every single instant cast, just Life Siphon. Here's our lull turn. We miraculously don't have an instant cast charge. And you see I use Chain Stonja here. This is extremely important. I'm gonna link the AI in chat right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why I Chain Stonja here instead of just going right into Chain Stonja. Because the boss is currently in first phase. It's at 100%, between 100% and 80% damage done. It's still in first phase. The second phase is the most important. Because if you look at King Behemoth's second phase, down there on turn 4, Thundaja, 1.76 seconds cast time, BLK, self 9,999% overflow magical lightning damage to self. It's a self-heal. And what that translates to is he casts Thundaja on himself and heals for 57,000 damage. That sucks. By delaying my strongest casts, like Chain Stonja, until the second phase starts, it allows me to skip that. And basically by focusing all of my damage during the second phase, I'm able to skip that 57,000 damage heal, granting me 57,000 damage that it wouldn't have had otherwise. Oh. Now we can finally use Titan. See, Alphino doesn't do 4 damage. That's 27 or 21,000 right there. There's our tough attack. The Reaper is always going to trigger 3 last stands. 2 people will always survive, and that is the 2 people that Aphmau curated before that. And one of those people is always one that would have gotten hit by a crit. So this is why there was no threat of getting crit on that attack. Oh, also something to note for Evray use. It's something not a lot of people think about, but if you're doing throwaway cures like I did with Aphmau there, how important... I can't have no dual casts, but the fight isn't like overly dependent on them. I'll go into that as we get into the second phase. But anyway, back to Aphmau and Evray. I have this specifically like worked out to make sure that one of the 2 people that was healed by Aphmau was Maria, instead of her casting this Chain Stonga as one of the other 3 characters. They have no health. The damage buff that the 2 Evrays that I have in my Magicite deck provide is based upon how much health you have remaining. So making sure that Maria is one of the people that has more health than the other characters is important for dealing damage. Only on this turn. I'm pretty sure she could have 1 HP and her Chain Stonja is still going to cap. So, 80,000 damage here for Maria. That's nice. Okay, now at 15 seconds. I know I said 10, but now at 15 seconds, this is where I basically start the instant cast parade, trying to speed through the second phase as fast as possible so I can avoid that 57,000 heal he puts on himself. And it's much like the pattern that I showed earlier in the fight is Aphmau USBs. Everyone uses their instant cast charge, and then Raijin Super Soul Breaks to provide more instant cast. And you'll see a little waltz. I call it the Raijin and Aphmau dance. Very creative of me. On the next turn, because of a skip that I have to do. Okay, something I went over in a previous commentary. But that was a long time ago, and there's probably a lot of people around that don't know you can do this. You see what I did there with the cursor? I know it's small, but anyway, I'll talk about what I did. During casting animations where the UI disappears like this, unfortunately it happens for summons as well as soul breaks, if you have someone's turn active, I have Onion Knight's turn active at the moment. It doesn't stop registering that you have that person's turn active. So what I did was I clicked on Aphmau, and even though the UI doesn't show that I have a target on Aphmau right now, I have. So what you're going to see my cursor do is spam click on where that entrust icon is, because I have Aphmau targeted, and as long as I cast that entrust as soon as possible, it will activate on her, even though the UI hasn't told you that you've targeted her. And you'll see that after this casting animation finishes. You can do this for soul breaks as well. Okay, and here's the dance. Raijin's turn comes up here. And he has a charge of instant cast to cast his Super Soul Break. Nice, right? Well, I don't want to do that yet because Aphmau still has a charge of instant cast, and it's an important instant cast. You'll see that in a second. We actually went over this on the day that I got the Sub30. It was actually a really interesting thing to figure out. So what I do here is I hold Raijin's turn, and I skip to Aphmau so she can use her instant cast charge, and then Raijin goes and grants instant cast to everybody. Nice 100,000 damage from Maria. So what Aphmau did right there with her instant turn is healed a targeted heal on Alphino, which was really important in this run, and you'll see in a second why. Okay, another kind of mechanic thing that not a lot of people know of, as long as you have clicked the icon, like I had clicked Aphmau's Kurata, even though she hadn't started casting yet, as long as you do that, it expends the charge. So what you see that Aphmau hasn't even cast yet. But now Raijin is using his Super Soul Break, so you would think that, you know, the instant cast charge would be like overlapped, but it's not. Aphmau's already used it, and now she's gaining a new charge, even though they're basically casting at the same time, or he cast before her. Onion Knight is still just alternating Meltdown and Entrust onto Aphmau. Generate the points, then send them on over. And here we do the dance yet again. But luckily, because Raijin Super Soul Break went off first, I don't have to dance. His ATB came up first, so I can just Life Siphon right away. And then Aphmau can use her USB when the boss uses his next attack. Now, I actually caught it on screen, lucky me. You see that Alphino gets healed for 2,000 at the moment because of that the HP stock from Kurata. That is important because without that 2,000 heal, he would not survive the next attack. This heal from Aphmau would not be enough. Look at all that damage from Radiant Shield. So here's the fun part of the fight. You see Alphino has two Titan charges left, but he can cast a Soul Break here. And I digged on it, and I suppose I still do, because this fight proves how little Alphino's USB actually does, but that little is enough. Because he only has 2 charges of Titan left, 10 seconds left in the fight. He can absolutely use 2 Titans when he's instant casting every turn. What casting Alphino's USB does right here is improves the potency of the hones that I have left. And that's really all that I'm looking for. So he casts a USB. It gives me a 30% rank boost for summoning. So I use those two Titans. They almost damage cap. And then, because he's casting so quickly and generating so many soul break points from King Behemoth, you know, wailing on us every turn, he gets to recast his USB. And the way finishers work is that if you recast it, it clears the previous finisher status and opens up a new one. And whenever a finisher status gets cleared, it casts. So, by recasting his USB, well, you'll see in a second. Normally you wouldn't want to recast this because it doesn't do any damage. But by clearing the finisher status, since he has no hones left, clearing the finisher status allows him to actually do damage with his second USB cast because of the finisher. And Maria's just still casting instant every turn. And now we go into the pattern again. You saw Raijin Life Siphon there. Gave him enough soul break points to super soul break again. Aphmau is going to USB here. The beauty of this run is because Aphmau needs to USB here. Because that attack that he just did cleared my haste. I need Aphmau's USB, and it is not reproducible with Realm's USB because Aphmau can reapply haste with hers. Now you see Alphino's Titans definitely grew in damage. Now he's doing 27,000. And that first... I'll get this flashy stuff off the screen. That first cast is pretty important. Is why I was so happy that I caught this run. Is because those two charges of Titan are very important. Remember, Alphino has a finisher on his USB, which is based upon the damage that he does while Titan is active. Or, no, while the summoning or the USB status is active. If Alphino dual casts, because I have him legend dived, if Alphino dual casts one of these two Titan charges, then his finisher will cap out. If I don't dual cast on either of them, his finisher doesn't cap out, and this run is so close that if his finisher doesn't cap out, it doesn't finish the fight. And I do not dual cast on either of these. Again, we do the Raijin and the Aphmau dance. I hold the aura so I can use Aphmau's Curada instant cast charge, and then I give everyone another instant cast charge. Because that little bit of life that she just filled up on Onion Knight, actually worth something. And here I was hoping for another dual cast, but I didn't get it. That, him and Thundering, if you are reading the AI along in chat, that is the first action that he takes in third phase, and that's how you know that you skipped. You skipped his heal. Okay, this turn's a little weird because the engine is run dry. I no longer have the ability to instacast every turn. I need to wait until I get hit next turn in order to do that. So I hold everybody's turn because you don't want to get caught with a slow cast time at this point in the fight because you don't take another action if that happens. So we get hit. He takes a ton of damage. Lovely, lovely Radiant Shield damage. Everyone instant casts again. And here, because I have Maria's Arcane, I make sure that she goes last. And that, again, no skipping required. It is good that she goes last because she is going to break the rage mode on the boss, which is going to reduce all damage after that point. So I want everyone else to get in their damage before that point. Alphino doesn't matter. His damage is percentage based on his finisher, so his doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm not clicking it here, because it doesn't matter. And you'll see this does no damage again. Why would I recast it? Well, it's for the finisher. Because I have no Titan Hones left. Where else am I going to get damage? Little Death Flare. Only does 7,200 times 5, where if he had dual cast a single time with those last two Titan charges, it would have capped out. And if that had happened, the run would end right here with Maria's Arcane. But doesn't. So this is the worst case scenario. Well, one of the worst case scenarios. I think there's a crit that can happen earlier in the fight that can end the run. But again, we need to wait because Raijin has an instant cast charge that he got from Half Mile last turn. We get hit. Another charge of instant cast at 29.36 seconds. At this point, the magic buff that we got from Onion Knight at the beginning of the fight has run out. So this is pretty scary. But Alphino pulls it off. If Alphino dual casts and gets an extra 30,000 damage from dual casting, and then that improves his finisher, those two together deal enough damage that this never gets this close. My better clears are at about 27 and a half seconds, one turn before this. And that's sub 30 with 2 super soul breaks, no chain. Because you just got here, Mex, and you didn't hear me talk about how much damage Radiant Shield does over the course of the fight. That's why. This same thing without Maria USB? I don't know about that. With a chain? Absolutely. Maria BSB plus chain is a great start. VV USB and glue, yeah, you're in. You could totally sub 30. Man, I talked a lot. I had to pause a lot. I'm sorry about that, but there's just so much that happens every single turn of this fight. Is there anything that I missed? Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone doubt the power of Alphino and his Super Soul Break now? If I tally the amount of damage that Alphino's USB provides in the fight, I think it's 2 Titan casts, so 12,000 damage, and then the finisher was about 36, so 48,000 damage, while Alphino's Super Soul Break contributed, well, a lot. Well, a lot. He contributes that much damage in a single turn, and that's not even including the 30% magic buff that Onion Knight, Alphino, and Maria all benefit from. What makes Evray such a good Magicite? I'll show you. It's this. Talked about it briefly during the fight. Increases damage dealt by all allies the higher their remaining HP. You can only use so many damage boosting passives before they run into diminishing returns. So Midgard's armor here has a level 13 in Power Earth, level 15 in Power Earth, level 15 in Power Earth. Each time you add on another one, it halves its effect, 50%. The next one, 25%. The next one, 12.5%. There's only so many passives that you can use on your team to improve their damage, while Evray introduces another one. And it's really powerful, because Surging Power, level 10, effectively means that when you're at full health, you do 10% more damage. If you have 2 Evrays, when you are at full health, you do 15% more damage. That's as good as another Empower. That is crazy, and it's awesome for what I would personally call the current meta of healers that heal the party and then they start dealing damage. Aphmau heals the party, they instantly act with those high health bars. Alara just keeps everyone at a high health bar. Aerith not so much, because Last Stand kind of encourages you to stay low, but she still heals everybody. They get 3 charges of physical high quick cast, so they start dealing damage with those high health bars. So Evray is made for it. Yeah, Realm. Realm works very well, because she also has Stone Skin. 30% Stone Skin, which protects you from taking damage, keeping you at higher health totals, meaning your Evrays deal more. And one of the beauties about this being on Evray is you can save yourself so much Magicite experience by using the same Evrays across multiple teams. See if I have another Magic team made. See, this is my haphazard Kraken team, whatever, it doesn't matter. What's important is you look at the Magicite, you see 2 more Evrays. Same 2 Evrays. So, by leveling them, by full inheriting to them, you're not just affecting a single team. Like that Midgard Zormer from the previous team. he will affect 3 teams at most. Well, not including Torment. He will affect 2 teams at most. Because he's completely Earth-based. But the damage increase provided by Evray is not elementally, you know, based. So you can just put him on whatever team. So it plugging up 2 slots on a Magicite team means it's so much less Magicite to level up. Yeah, thanks, Stark. Yeah, Maria is, I mean, one of the many reasons that this team works. She needs to be here providing that pure DPS that can benefit from casting instantly every single turn, while everyone else does the funky stuff. She's just down there, all by herself, slinging spells. And like most crazy team comps like this, is not much value, I suppose, in trying to apply some of this. No, there's a lot. There's a lot of general purpose stuff that went on here. High health totals. That's useful to know on most of the good healers in the game. Entrusting to your instant caster allows you to generate more soul break points that you can entrust back to the instant caster, creating a chain effect. And the same thing works for Alara, and that's why I've always liked Alara's USB, because Alara provides high quick cast too, which is, there's no type, so Wrath benefits from her high quick cast, while someone like Aerith does not. She doesn't do anything for, you know, mage teams and stuff. She doesn't do anything for support abilities, but obviously the last stand on Aerith's USB more, you know, makes up for that. It's just, it creates a situational thing between Alara and Aerith. As you can see, the boss did 10,000 damage to my entire team at multiple points in the fight. Last stand was required to use this strategy because I didn't bust the boss out of its damage phase, so it did extra damage. Does extra damage, takes extra damage. It's really key to the fight, not breaking its rage mode. For those of you out there who think brave modes are required pulls for 5-star Magicite, they're not. There's other ways around dancing around the rage mode, and it becomes much easier if you would like to in following Magicite, because the 5-star Magicite that we farm from these %100% chance on its ability, so it's not mixed like the 4 stars are, but this is its entry. Deal physical lightning damage to one enemy. Temporarily raise the lightning attack level of all allies by 1, can break the damage cap. This is a cap breaker, and its normal attack is also a cap breaker. And it does this every single turn, guaranteed. Quetzal is the same way. And that's why I kind of emphasized in the lead up to the previous festival, if you want to, if you wanted to, that I personally place an importance on having strong Earth teams, strong enough to at least collect your Magicite so you can carry, you know, roll them over. Flick over the first domino so you can flick over the next one easier. Yes, I do have a video up for beating Quetz. It's not Sub30. No, not by a long shot. But he has been beaten. Figures, I rely on burst soul breaks a lot in the Quetzal fight. And that one's slow as molasses, where I rely on super soul breaks a lot in this fight. And this one's a lot quicker. Alright, so unless anyone has any closing questions, I'll consider that the end of the commentary. Oh yeah, that is nice, and a lot of people, like, bag on old stuff. But you don't need a party full of USBs to defeat content. You don't need everyone to have an arcane. I don't have any arcanes on my physical team. No, usually, you can make do with 1 or 2 strong characters and a good supporting cast. I am. In the Quetz fight, I use Gladio's BSB. Galoof's BSB2, really useful. He stacks and perils really well. And Bart's BSB, obviously a huge advantage. That's somebody that can output some damage. Honestly, his USB doesn't do a whole lot in that fight. The fast casting is nice. I think it allows me to sneak in a couple attacks where I wouldn't be able to outside of Quetzal's rage mode, because that rage mode is ugh. But if I was on a faster team, like if I had a chain, I could put Thunder God mode on Bart's instead. Well, yeah, you want better stuff if you can get it. But I think people are often under the impression that they need just baller luck in the gacha to get anywhere, when they don't. Though, I mean, this is coming from someone who's had some pretty nice luck lately. Like, from the start of the festival, I had a great festival. Final Fantasy XIV skippable? Honestly, yeah. Well, I'm gonna highlight the commentary and then I can general purpose stuff. I'll take a look at the